Hi, my name is Dorklina, and normally I make gameplay videos, like playthroughs and let's plays of various games, and one of them is Baldurs Gate 3. And I'm known to heavily sim over Astarion.
Not quite yet, love. Let's wait until they're asleep.
Okay, I'm dying. But I'm still seriously convinced that Astarion's romance will be the best, most redeemable romance that we will get in Baldurs Gate 3. This may age really horribly. We're only gonna find out in 2023 when the game will be fully released. Now that we know that patch 9 is on the horizon and we're gonna get it soon in December of 2022 with Tunnel from Hell, and we're also gonna get a Christmas theme, so that's gonna be so much fun. I am, of course, as I am always, super excited to see if we're gonna get the Astarion kiss back. What better time to talk about this topic than now? Baldurs Gate 3 is the newest turn-based RPG game from Larian Studios, who are also known for making the amazing game Divinity Original Sin 2. Baldurs Gate 3 has been in early access since October 2020, and Larian has confirmed that it will be fully released in 2023. Astarion is a character in Baldurs Gate 3. One huge thing, I think, that will make a big difference in his romance is going to be his character development and kind of healing his trauma. When we first get introduced to him, it is very quickly noticeable that he is not a character that is easily likable. When we first meet him, he attacks us, threatens us, tries to plague us. It's a very messy situation all around, and of course me and my fellow sims, we are very into the whole pushing us to the ground with a knife in our throat, but not everybody is into that.
Choke me like you hate me, but you love me.
Not everybody is giggling at that situation, right? So I feel like a lot of people will already be turned off by him, making up their mind about him in that first moment. And I think Larian is doing that on purpose, but more about that later. And for me personally, whenever we get introduced to a character that is not easily likable, it makes me personally suspicious and interested in a way. I want to get to know that character specifically because it's kind of a plot thing. People who are easily likable know a lot of people will go after them, but with the people who are not easily likable, I feel like there might be a hidden secret there. Just like maybe like a waterfall where you would have to look behind to see that there's a treasure chest there. And I think the same applies to Shadowheart and Lozelle, but they're gonna get their own video, of course. With Astarion, we actually have to get to know him, give him a chance, understand him, and we also need to be reading between the lines of what he's saying, his expressions. We need to consider his whole body language. His backstory gives a lot of insights about who Astarion is, why he acts the way he does, and why he lashes out at us sometimes.
Why do you insist on exhuming the past? I was a slave. A vampire spawn. Kept by the Tsar family. Perhaps I still am. I was never able to resist their commands. But now,
Oh my god.
I've been conveniently lost. They won't ever control me again.
He has been a slave for over 200 years. He has been tortured. He has suffered for over 200 years, and he didn't even have his own free will at all. That must be insane. I can't even put my mind around that. It's like living in a vessel and you are somewhere in that vessel. You have no autonomy over your own body, thoughts, actions, nothing. Whatever Cazador wanted him to do, he had to do. He only knew violence and no mercy, cruelty for over 200 years, being probably kept isolated in a cell and then let out to go and hunt down fresh meat for Cazador. which even that must have been excruciating. And then coming home hungry, because, you know, you were around all these people, dining with your master, and then being served a rat. Such treatment for over 200 years leaves you traumatized, leaves you broken. And it is a huge part of his personality and who he is essentially and who he had become. And it might even shape his needs, wants, desires in the future.
It's a poem. A gift from Cazador. He considered himself quite the artist and used his slaves as a canvas. He composed and carved that one over the course of a night. He made a lot of revisions as he went.
And this is why I have a theory. And my theory is that Astarion has an anxious, avoidant attachment style, not only in love, but also with just regular relationships. He has trust issues, he's behaving cold, avoidant, he's being very, very careful, he's closed off, he shields his emotions from probably like everyone and himself. And I personally think Astarion has a fear of being vulnerable with anyone, cause any weakness could be taken and used against him. He is someone who is looking out for themselves. And I have another theory on that, but more on that later.
As for my other quirks, well, we can figure those out in time.
I have seen a few theories about Astarion manipulating us, and I have to say, I believe that too. But I don't think he's doing that out of malintention. I just think he's doing that out of carefulness. I think he's doing it out of cunning and out of calculating situations, humans. He needs to have the upper hand on the situation. If he has control, he has safety. If he can figure out if we have any intentions or motives that might hurt him, he needs to find that out immediately. He needs to wrap us around his finger so he feels safe. This is his power. He always had this power. Seduction, seducing, flirting, wrapping somebody around his finger and then making them do what he wants.
It's quite a sight.
Oh.
The stars, I mean. I could take or leave your chin.
He's also trying to figure out how to get an advantage over us. Cause if we have any malintentions towards him and we ever will lash out at him, then he will make sure that he can fight us and that he knows our weaknesses. Personally, I don't think that's a bad move. That's just looking out for himself. Cause essentially, we are strangers. We don't know the others. We have met because we have tadpoles in our brains. That's it. And then we have to get to know each other. So essentially, you are sleeping, living with these strangers. And wouldn't you also want to get an advantage over someone you don't know and you don't know if they want to harm you? And whenever we are really nice to Astarion, just because we want to be nice, there's no reason for us to be nice to him other than to be nice. He seems to be genuinely surprised, curious, and even suspicious.
Thank you, by the way. This is... well, it's something.
He'll all right. We'll figure it out, I promise.
Will we? How... sweet.
His facial expression changes, and he looks like he can't quite believe that we are just sweet or nice to him just because we want to.
This isn't your problem, you know.
Another behavior that I noticed in Astarion is that it is extremely hard for him to ask for help. We're seeing this behavior of his in one of his scenes where he is struggling to ask Ta for help because he can't see his own scars.
So, I was wondering if maybe, perhaps, you might be able to, Can you read what's on my damn back? Please.
After kinda tiptoeing around the issue, Astarion lashes out and asks for help, only showcasing the struggle he has with 1, asking for help, and 2, with being vulnerable. The same thing happens in the mirror scene, where we catch Astarion looking in the mirror, but he has no reflection, because he is a vampire spawn. So when he tells us that he misses seeing his face, or quote-unquote, just another thing that I've lost. Do you miss it, seeing your own face?
Preening in the looking glass? Petty vanity? Of course I miss it. I've never even seen this face. Not since it grew fangs and my eyes turned red.
What color were they before?
I don't know. I can't remember. My face is just some dark shape in my past. Another thing I've lost.
We see a vulnerable side to him, angry, kinda lost, and smashing the mirror, showcasing his sadness and frustration to what he is. So he is truly not really enjoying what he has become, and he is missing some parts of humanity.
Turn us into... Of course it'll turn me into a monster. What else did I expect?
And I do think that he will have one of the greatest character developments in the whole game. He might not be an angel, and he might not turn out to be the nicest, kindest, most good companion that we will have in the game, but I still think his character development will be amazing to witness. I think seeing Astarion slowly feeling safe, warming up to Tav, and opening up to Tav, we're going to feel so accomplished. And it's just going to be a good feeling knowing that he feels safe, that he has a home, that he feels cared for and loved.
This is a gift, you know. I won't forget it.
Astarion seems to seek real, genuine companionship. A real connection that might either be romantic or platonic, a friend, a lover, a relationship, someone he can rely on, someone who is family, someone who is home, safety. He truly and deeply desires companionship, and he might fear it, and he might try to fight it, but it seems to be such a deep desire rooted into him that he is not able to withstand it. It's a true, deep, natural desire for safety, love, and care. The amazing Borislav Slavov has released a song which is called I Want to Live, which I made a cover of, so if you want to listen to that, I'm gonna link that in the info box. But it is a beautiful song, and a lot of people think that it is actually Astarion's theme song, or the Astarion romance theme song. I want to go over some of the song lyrics and just explain what I personally think these could mean for the Astarion romance altogether. The big reason why people think this song is Astarion's theme and about his romance is simply because it talks about blood. We have the lyrics here. I feel your breath upon my neck, a soft caress as cold as death. So there's like, okay, undead maybe, really cold breath, okay. Then we have your blood like wine, I want it in, but darling get me drunk and make me feel. Which is, you know, pretty self-explanatory. Astarion is a vampire spawn, he drinks blood. We have the whole bite night where he drinks our blood, and he also uses the word darling a lot. So it makes sense that this is his song. Also, I want to live, he's undead. Maybe he actually wants to be resurrected. Or also, he really doesn't want to die, as we know. He's very much into his own survival. So that's just some reasons why people think this is his song. It is not officially confirmed that this is his song, but I think, and I will edit this in, but I think Borislav Slavov has liked a comment of somebody saying that it is Astarion's romance theme. But that might not mean anything because I think he is just liking or hearting every comment on his YouTube because he's just amazing. He's just awesome. We love him, okay? We love him. Now I'm just gonna go over some of the lyrics that I think have something to do with this romance, or I think are just important also to explain his character. I didn't know you well back then. I blame it all on luck and bane. I think this talks about just him being in that state of manipulation, needing to get to know Tav, not feeling safe, needing to feel like he had to get on top of the situation, as we spoke of earlier, and then the whole I blame it all on luck and bane. I think it just talks about fate, destiny, that it was all destined now that he knows more of the situation, now that he has kind of lived through the whole romance and everything. And I think the I didn't know you well back then is just him saying over time I was, you know, I got to know you, I learned to trust you, and I fell in love with you, kind of, but, or just like I got to know you on a deeper level, but back then I didn't know you, you were a stranger to me, right? Then him saying, it's not my fault, I'm not to blame, these ain't my sins, I broke my chains, I think are clearly talking about his vampiric hunger and what Cazador made him do, and that he doesn't want to be a monster. He never wanted to be a monster, as he calls himself or refers to himself sometimes. And he's just saying that his vampiric hunger, him being hungry, is not his fault. It was decided for him. Just like, you know, people eat meat and they end lives that way. He's just like, to survive, I need to drink blood. And what he did under Cazador's control were not his sins. And since he broke his chains, he broke his mind control that Cazador had over him, he has been free. So he does not need to commit those sins anymore, these crimes anymore. And he had no autonomy over his actions and choices when he was under the control of Cazador. The next lyrics that I want to talk about are, I feel your heartbeat in my soul, our future's bound, our bodies know. This could be a possible tadpole reference, that he's just saying that now our futures are bound and wherever we go, we have to go together because we have to get rid of this tadpole. But I think this also talks about destiny. This also talks about fate, that he is like, wow, this happened for a reason. Somebody freed me for a reason. I got to meet this person. And now our futures are bound together because now we, you know, kind of like marriage bounds, right? Now we're just bound forever. It might also be, maybe we get to be with him as vampires and then we're going to spend eternity with him, though I think that's very far-fetched. I want that, but I don't think this song is actually talking about that, but it might be a possibility that our futures are bound because we will spend eternity together. But yeah, I think this most likely talks about a destined, deep love connection. The next lyrics are, I can't go yet, don't let me die. This talks about, for me, this speaks about his vulnerability, his fear of death, his need to survive. And this lyric gives me hold me vibes, like please hold me close, just hold me. Like I'm miserable, I'm sad, I'm anxious, I'm fearful, please just hold me in your arms and I'll be fine. but this I think specifically talks about his vulnerability, his fear, him talking about it to Tav, saying, please help me, I don't want to die, I'm so afraid of this tadpole actually killing me. Don't let me die, I want to live, right? Now I am free, now I have love, now I have everything, I'm happy, I really don't want to die, I want to live with you, possibly. This is also supported by the lyric, there's more to do if I can only live. I can't go yet, don't let me die. So he talks about, again, his life kind of being wasted, or now that he has found this love, there's so much more to do, so much more to explore, and he doesn't want to miss out on that part of life. Next we have, I'll never stop until I'm done, but just tonight, maybe I'll rest in peace. I think this is a reference to him being a vampire, to him being undead, and being restless until this moment that he actually found Tav, actually made that deep, deep, deep connection. Maybe before this song plays, or in the scene where the song plays, we get to share our deep emotions with each other. We actually get to maybe tell each other our vulnerabilities, or confess our love to each other, and that's when that song plays, and he's talking about that even though he has that now, he will never stop to try and survive, and he will not stop until he's done killing Cazador, until he has fought Cazador, which is an interesting thought, because if we take that on face value, like if we think that that is what these lyrics mean, I'll never stop until I'm done, that might mean that we confess to him before we go and fight Cazador, which might have a big plot point in him either killing Cazador or wanting to become a vampire lord himself. We might also end up maybe in a fight where Cazador uses us against Astarion, but maybe that's a whole other video idea for like what will happen in the plot or something like this. I have so many ideas. I have so much to talk about. But let's go back to the song, shall we? Yes, we shall. But just tonight, maybe I'll rest in peace. I think that's just so beautiful, because it just talks about how safe he feels with Tav, how at peace he is when he is with them, and that's just absolutely beautiful. Then at the end we have, I hear your heart beat in my soul, our endings bound, our bodies know. Also might be a tadpole reference, or maybe, very far-fetched, also a vampiric thing. Maybe if one dies, the other dies. I don't think that's a thing, like if you kill Cazador, will all his spawns just die? I don't think so. I don't think that's a thing. I think I read that they will just live, and there's like one other spawn who killed their master and is now free and living free, so he is still alive, so I guess Astarion will be fine. So our endings bound, our bodies know, might mean that we will either turn into mind flayers or die, or as well with our futures are bound, then our endings will be bound too if we are not immortal. Well, Astarion is immortal, and I don't think Tav is, though we could use just scrolls of revivify and just, you know, just make Tav live again every time we die, as, you know, we can in the game, or use our skeleton friend, which I think he will not stick around forever, but, you know, we are kind of immortal. We can't die, but still, it might be a reference to a plot point which we don't know yet, or it's just the tadpole, but it's still pretty romantic, to be honest. And if our buddies know, I guess it's gonna be a tadpole reference. And then we have, I can't go yet, don't let me die, I want to live, my only one. Here, I think my only one is a reference to Tav, like, my only person. You are my own, like, it's a pet name, my only one. Like, my heart, babe, whatever, like, it's my only one. That's how I read into this. It might also just be, I want to live my only one. This is my only life that I get, and if I die, I die. So I want to live my only one, my only life. That might also be what he's referencing, but I think he's using a pet name, like my only one. And well, this is just talking about him again having a fear of death, maybe even kind of dying, or this might play after we've figured out a major plot line that we will actually die, or he will actually die, or something is happening with the tadpole and he's just super afraid and just wanting us to hold him or save him, and he's just, I think either this references just him using a pet name, my only one, or him saying like, I want to live, my only one, my only life, or we are about to die. We are about to die, something like that. Who knows? But the last paragraph of the song is, there's more to do if we can only live. The clock won't stop, and this is what we get. So I think this talks about living in the moment, being grateful in the moment, taking in every single second, but it actually also might be a plot point where we know that we will die, and if we don't get to do something quickly, we will die. Like, the clock is ticking and this is what we get, but we are actually in love. And it feels like it might be like a camp scene, it might be like a romance option that we get after we heard like some devastating news that we will die in like a few days if we don't get to do something, like Act 3, you know? Like, we have to actually do something now or it's over. And it feels like that in that moment of we're gonna die, we confessed our love and we just grew a really deep, intimate relationship in that moment, but we're still about to die. And I can just see like a really romantic scene, and then it's just like the clock won't stop and this is what we get. But it's really beautiful, it's very intimate and beautiful, but we only have that little amount of time to actually enjoy this love. And there's so much more to do for us now that we know that we love each other. But if we can only live, if we can manage to figure out how to live, because we are about to die. I think that's what these song lyrics talk about, refer to, but we will only really find out in the full release, right? But still, isn't that so exciting for the Astarion romance, right? I think that's such a beautiful, deep, intimate romance, and the song is just gorgeous. So if you haven't heard it, I will link the original version from Borislav Slavov in the comments down below, and I'm also going to link my cover version of the song if you want to listen to it. I love the song, it's one of my favorites in the game, so just so you know. But I wanted to include the song because I think there's a lot of information in here that we need to understand Astarion and theorize about his romance, because there's a lot of information in here. Another thing that I think that the song talks about and makes clear is that Astarion is not some power-hungry vampire lord, right? He just wants to live, quite literally. He wants to survive. That is his greatest motivation in life, his intrinsic motivation, that he wants to survive, he wants to live. And he even tells us that he would just settle for killing the bastard. You'd have to drink Cazador's blood to be free.
Free and a true vampire, capable of creating my own coven. Yes. Although, I'd settle for just killing the bastard. I wouldn't be a true vampire, but I'd be free of him.
Talking about Cazador, of course. The lyrics of the song I Want to Live showcase that even more. He isn't power hungry, he's just desperate to live. He just wants to survive. Astarion is also kind of an anti-hero, but I think that he will be loyal to Tav if he trusts Tav. He will be super loyal to a person if he fully trusts them. He also seems to have more of a chaotic neutral alliance than a neutral evil, which would have been the one of a true vampire spawn. But I think that Larian is actually deliberately trying to deceive us to think that Astarion has a neutral evil alliance while he's actually chaotic neutral. And I have seen a few people talk about that he seems to be more of a chaotic neutral type than a neutral evil type. Because some of his approvals don't make sense with a neutral evil type. It just seems like he approves of what is most chaotic, most fun in his eyes. Sometimes he's for the good side, sometimes he's for the bad side. But I guess we only will truly know when the game is fully released. And I think he is only truly loyal to himself right now because he doesn't have someone who he can truly trust. And this might be our mission with him. This might be what we have to do to have this beautiful romance with Astarion, to get to the point where he truly trusts us, knows that we care for him, and is not afraid to be vulnerable with us anymore. We have to make him feel safe, protected, cared for, loved, and most importantly, accept him for who he truly is. I contacted a friend of mine, the amazing Mizu Ming, and asked what they thought about this topic, on their viewpoint about this, and on their viewpoint about this romance. And we had the same exact thoughts and feelings about his romance. Might be because we are both huge Astarion sims, but we both see Astarion as somewhat of a wounded wolf that needs to be nurtured, cared for, and slowly build trust with said wounded wolf. But when you gained that wolf's trust and the wolf is fully healed, you're gonna have a companion as loyal and protective as can be. And the same applies to Astarion. When you nurture him and you care for him and you just show him kindness that you don't have to do. You don't have to be kind to him. You don't have to protect him. You don't have to look out for him. He is going to gain trust towards you. And when you have that trust, you're gonna have him and you're gonna have his full-blown loyalty towards you. And there still might be a moment, and I have a feeling that there will be a kind of a scare moment with Astarion, that it will seem like he's betraying us, but he's not actually betraying us. And in that moment, we will have to stay loyal towards him, trust in him, that he would never do something like that. Maybe if we are in Baldurs Gate, and Cazador yells for him, or gets a hold of him somehow, something in his blood might stir, and has to go after him. I don't know. I have a feeling that might happen, and we will think Astarion is betraying us, but he's actually not. And if we still are loyal to him, then we're gonna be like heavily rewarded. But if we do not trust him, I think we're gonna completely ruin the whole romance. And it's not gonna be easy at all. I think it's gonna take a lot of effort, patience, love, and care to get this romance to this point. But in the end, it's gonna be so worth it, watching him slowly opening up, feeling safe, feeling cared for, and maybe even confessing some fears, vulnerabilities, his love. And I think he's gonna be extremely compassionate, because he's the only one flirting with us. He's the only one, after the romance, calling us love and these pet names. The others don't really care. He does. Astarion does care. And watching him go from being closed off and cold to opening up slowly, which we have seen in the early access already, is just a huge plus to the romance. And I think that's not only my perspective, but I think that a lot of people really, really, really appreciate that part to his romance. But the best thing about his romance is that he is pansexual and that everybody can have a piece of that booty. He doesn't care, and we love it that everyone can experience that romance.
It's really nice, actually, I gotta say, on this note that we're talking about, it's really nice to see better representation and choices in roleplay games and things like that, which they can have, even when you can custom build your character. Like Astarion's pansexual, man, which I really dig. Like, it would have been, you know, he's theatrical, but he's not camp. He's a theatrical person, you know, that's his bag. But he's pansexual, which is interesting. That you can, like that happens before Dragon Age, I think, is the same thing, where you can romance whomever you wish. And it's good. It's good to have that kind of like this normalcy of people's lifestyles. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to having, oh, a token character that is like this or like that, or is of this skin or that skin or whatever. It's just like, you make everything normalized. That's the aim of inclusion, of representations.
Right, and
it's just a thing.
Being defined as this part of who they are. They are so much more
exactly.
than
It's
just
not,
their sexuality.
Exactly. It's not like this is the gay character, or this is the bi character, or this is the, you know, black guy or whatever. It's not like that's the summation of that person. It's just like, it is a facet of this character, and it's really like, oh, this person likes this person. Cool.
Interesting, and draw us to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Agreed.
And as a fellow pansexual, I personally love the representation. It's just beautiful. And also to have like a gay character, not having, like Neil Newborn said, like it's not his personality. It's so refreshing and beautiful. It's just part of him. It's not him. It's amazing. I love it. But yeah, that's a huge thing, huge plus to his romance. Everyone can experience it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this theory-based video of mine, and you have no idea how much I truly appreciate you. Thank you for watching it, and I want to know what you think about Astarion's romance, or who will have the best romance in the game. What are your takes on this whole thing? And if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more from me, I have various playthroughs of Baldurs Gate 3 and other games, so, you know, I'm gonna link some in the description down below if you're interested. Also gonna do a patch 9 playthrough, so, you know, if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. I'm gonna post like as soon as the patch 9 drops and I recorded like a video, right? As soon as I can, I'm gonna drop that video. I'm also planning on making more of these videos because I have so many topics I want to talk about. Like, what will the plot be? Who will we be fighting? What will happen in Act 2? What will happen in Act 3? I want to do all these videos and then look back when the full game has been released. So if you're enjoying this, stick for the ride because I have so much more coming your way. And if you haven't played the early access yet, then I strongly suggest you watch this video right here of me telling you why you need to be playing the early access of Baldurs Gate 3, and you still have time till 2023, so go right now, go, it's here, you can watch it.